12.
It's 12. All right, thank you. Page 12. See what we got on there. Acceptance. Oh, good one. Good for you. This whole page has so much stuff in it. And you know, my sponsor breaks this stuff down for me. She says, Karen, what else is there? What else is there but acceptance? And truly, the only other thing that there is patterns. If I'm using a pattern, I'm not sitting in acceptance. If I'm sitting in acceptance, I'm not using a pattern. She keeps these things really simple for me. And right in the middle there, it talks about, we see how codependence has allowed us to become trapped in unhealthy situations in relationships. And that's not actually true. It feels true, though. We're not trapped. That's a lie we tell ourselves because we're too afraid to make any changes. We're not trapped, but we might as well be. We were trapped when we were kids because we had no choices, no options, no voice, no vote, no nothing. We just did what they told us to do to the best of our ability or else. And that was it. So we were trapped then, truly, well and truly trapped. We couldn't legally leave. Unfortunately, we carried that through into adulthood. So now when we're in a situation that's not so good, we feel like we can't leave, but that's not true. It's never been true. And one of my favorite things on this page, together, we're learning how to love and be loved, and how to live life rather than merely survive life. And I just survived life for the longest time. I was just scraping through, just trying to get through another day, just trying to master another day. And I was just so resentful that I was still alive at certain points in my life. I'm probably a narcissist, so I can't kill myself. But, I had to keep going day to day, but it was tough. I wake up in the morning and go, oh God, not again. Here comes another day, that I'm going to have people picking on me and stuff. And it was just, I just dreaded every single day. And then down here in the last paragraph, the serenity prayer expresses our awareness that recovery is about living life as it unfolds. As it unfolds. That tells me that I am no longer going to be able to make things happen or keep things from happening. That's not my business anymore. I'm just supposed to live my life with whatever's going on at this particular time. That's what acceptance is all about. And that's important to me. What it's a big part of my higher power is just doing what's right in front of me. If I'm worried about the future, I'm sitting in fear and I'm making things up. If I'm worried about the past, I haven't done my program. I haven't completely cleared it out. So acceptance is the key. And to do that, you got to live your life as it unfolds. And I think that I'm through with that page. Who has another page for me? This is fun. This is a great idea. Go ahead. 60. All right. Ooh, false power. The very first paragraph, we're hit with the notion of false power. Can we let go of fear and resentment as false power and establish healthy relationships? I thought that was real power. Not only that, I would not establish a boundary. I would just erect a fear wall and consider that good enough. It's not the same thing. It's not real. This part of this step, which step are we in, by the way? Step 8. Ooh. Step 8. We said we're going to go to any lengths for our recovery, and that really needs to be true. There were some things that were asked of me that, this is not easy. This program is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy to do. Not easy to put it into practice. We are literally facing our codependent past head on, right in your face. This is not an easy ask. But we have, in the next paragraph, some of us fear facing the members of our families of origin or people we have skillfully avoided for many years. I'm an avoider. That's what I did. That was my go-to method. That was my go-to pattern. I would avoid things, and I was really, really good at it. But it also made my world really, really small. I didn't want to go out into the public because I might run into somebody that I don't want to see, or I don't want them to see me, which is usually more to the point. So that made everything really small, and of course, after a while, I just didn't want to go out and do anything anyway. There was nothing that interested me anymore. No matter how severe the consequences, we must be willing. This is the paragraph where you're starting to see some must. You must do this. We must be willing to address them all. We must be willing to become accountable in all areas of our lives. Ew, who in their right mind would want to do that? But if you do it, and if you're willing to do this thing thoroughly, you get juju. And I always tease the people I sponsor. I tell them, don't worry, by the time you finish the steps, you get a pony. You know, when you're all finished, they give you a pony, you get to pick the color and everything. That's not true, of course, but it might as well be. You know, it feels like you get a pony at the end of this. And we certainly worked hard enough for it. Another page number, please. Pick a number from 1 to 83.
73.
Thank you. See what we got. 73. We are in page step 11. This part where you get right with your higher power. Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. If I'm still unsure how to pray effectively, step 11 tells me the only thing I'm allowed to pray for is knowledge and power. It says it very clearly. The only thing we're allowed to pray for is knowledge of God's will for us and the power to carry that out. There went my Christmas list. You know, there went my wish list. There's all the things that were going to make me happy. I had my when and then list. When I get this job, then I'll be happy. When I get married, then I'll be happy. Or when I get divorced, then I'll be happy. It was always something else that was keeping me from being happy. And as soon as I accomplished that, then everything would fall into line. That's another lie I told myself. It's not true. It's false power, because I just kept seeking for something that was just out of reach. And I would pray for the wrong things. I would pray for a new job. I need a new job. Please send me a new job. That's not how this works. All I know is I got to go out there and do the footwork, apply for the job, let go of the results, and wherever I'm supposed to end up, that's where I'm going to end up. That's how I live my life as it unfolds. I do the legwork and let go of the results. And if I'm supposed to get that job, I'll get it. And if I'm not supposed to have that job, don't worry, there's a better one waiting for me. That's what I've learned. If I let go, I get better juju by not putting my hands on things. I made a great big mess out of my life, and then I scrunched it all up and gave it to my higher power. Here, fix it. It's messed up. Look what you did. And it's also, when I pray, it's not about what I want. It's about what my higher power needs. And I was left alive for a reason. I think that the reason I have such a happy life and the reason I'm still alive is because I have a purpose. I'm useful now. I never was useful before. I was a detriment to society. I sucked the life out of people. I was not a nice person. Although if you'd asked me, I would have told you I'm certainly a nice person. That's what I believed about myself, but I wasn't. I was angry and I was scared all the time. Praying only for God's will for us may be difficult. It means we must be willing to let go of others and trust the outcome of their lives to their higher power. We might have different higher powers. What good's it going to be for me to pray to my higher power for them? Best I can do, I asked my sponsor about this because it seems selfish not to pray for other people. She said the very best you can do is pray for their higher power to put the squeeze on them. You know, pray for them to connect with their higher power. Not yours, might be a different one. Leave your higher power out of it. Don't get specific. Well, okay, I'm gonna fess up. I prayed one time for my girlfriend to get a new boyfriend. That's what I thought she needed. And she was lonely, and I thought she would stop picking on me and trying to run my life if she had a boyfriend. But I didn't really recognize that when I started praying about this. I thought I was being very magnanimous and very loving. What a great sister I am to pray for her to get a boyfriend. That's a loving gesture, right? That's not true. It was always about me. I wanted her to leave
Right.
me alone.
When
If she
people
had a
really
new
get that,
boyfriend, she would be
the
all
exact
busy and everything and leave me alone.
it's like I could still get the
Problem solved. So anytime I pray for somebody else, I got to watch my own motives, make sure I'm not in there somewhere. And I had to let go of her. And my sponsor was very clear about that one too. She says, well, you don't actually know what she needs. And that one really stopped me short. I said, well, I'm thinking, of course I do. She's my sister. But that's not true. She doesn't need a boyfriend. She needs to stop picking on me. I know that. But she doesn't, she didn't need a boyfriend. She still doesn't have one. But it's up to her. In order to continue on our spiritual path, we must release our control to God or to our higher power. Release our control. Easiest way to find a higher power is to take your hands off your life. And your higher power is going to swoop in. Don't worry about that. All of a sudden, things are going to start falling into line and good things are going to start happening. And you're going to see some things in your life that are positive for a change. And oh, hey, well, this ain't so bad. How about if I step back even further? How about if I take my hands off other people's lives now? Let's see what happens with them. It's amazing what happens when you stop running the show. Because apparently I wasn't very good at acid test. Uh, the only thing I achieved was a seat in AA first and then a seat in CoDA. That's it. That's all I got for all my hard work running the universe. When we seem led to pray for others, asking for God's love, will, and the highest good is usually sufficient. Ask their higher power to get in touch with them. Yeah. Or put the squeeze on them, as my sponsor says. Okay, another page. Thank you for that one. Another page number, any number.
Page
1 to
one,
83. Pardon me?
page one, or the first step.
Page 1, thank you. Page 1. Man, that's a beginning our journey. I love these questions because they're spot on. As soon as I started working the steps with the sponsor, here I was on the first page. Perhaps some of these thoughts are yours. If he or she changed, everything would be all right. I can't control this pain, these people, and what's happening. It's all my fault. I keep getting into the same bad relationships. I feel so empty and lost. Who am I? What's wrong with me? I think that was the question that I asked myself the most. What is wrong with me? What is so wrong with me that I can't be a likable person? Why do people keep trying to hurt me? The truth is, they were not trying to hurt me. I was looking for insults. When I talked about me walking on eggshells around people, they were walking around on eggshells as well, calling me things like I'm too sensitive. And all I could think of was, no, you're being mean to me. As it turns out, I was hypersensitive because I was conditioned. I was the scapegoat when I was growing up. So I knew that bad things were coming at me always. They always were. I was always in trouble and always being blamed for something. So that's what I was conditioned for. And I brought that into adulthood. Sadly, turning 18 didn't change anything. When I was technically an adult, nothing magically clicked in like I thought it was going to. I thought, okay, I'm going to be an adult now. Everything's going to be different. But it wasn't. I was still a child until I got to CoDA at the age of 60 some odd. So I'm a late bloomer. Thank you for that page. That's a good one. Denial. All right. What a handy and clever tool denial is. If you don't want to deal with something, it's not actually a problem. And it's amazing what we can get used to. So many things happened to me when I was a child. I was used to a high level of pain. I could tolerate a lot of emotional pain. So my baseline for pain was way up here to begin with. You could lay it on me and I think I had it coming somehow. There was a guy who was talking about this. I wish I could remember who it was, but I filed it away. And he said the only time that we break off with somebody or break up with somebody is if they finally start treating us worse than we would treat ourselves. We treat ourselves so badly that it finally would take that they would have to outdo us, outdo our treatment of ourselves. That's when we draw the line. And sadly, that's very true. So denial. We figure out what everybody else is doing wrong, but I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. I could take your inventory, boom, just like that. I'm insightful. I was usually probably fairly accurate. But somebody told me one time, and I wish I never heard this. I swear to you, it's the truth. If you can spot it, you've got it. If you've never heard that before, I apologize for passing that on. But if you can spot it, you've got it. That's how you know what's going on. If I turn to you and say, "Ooh, look at that girl. She's such a gossip. I can't stand her." Well, what am I doing right now? I'm gossiping. So with keeping that in mind, if you can spot it, you got it. That's a nice way to find out what your patterns are, what you're doing wrong. We may become so entangled in denial and control that we're forced to accept the hand of recovery. Okay, I got tricked into coming to CoDA, thank God. I got a new sponsor. She had a list of things that she wanted me to do. You need to keep going to AA meetings, sponsor people, have a service commitment, blah, 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 do this and that. She's got this list going, and I need you to go to CoDA. I'm like, oh, no, not another 12 steps. And I thought I was done with all the work, but I was just starting. I had no idea. Usually we reach a point where denial no longer works, and then we end up in CoDA. Hallelujah. Happiest day of my life. Saddest too. When they read the patterns in the meeting, the first meeting I attended, I thought, well, at least I'm with people who are just like me. Finally, I have people who are just like me. Maybe there's something that we can do about this. Maybe that question, what's wrong with me, will finally be answered in here. And it was. And it was in spades. I didn't like the answer, but the answer was here. Can I have another page number, please?
15.
All righty. See. 15, chapter 2, our spiritual dilemma. Yes. We have a hole, a crater, you might say, where there's a great big empty spot, and it's usually right about here. And this is the hole that we fill up with a new car, a new job, a new boyfriend, something that when and then theory. When I get this, then I'm going to be happy, and it fits in there, kind of, but not really. It doesn't completely fit, but it'll do for now. And then we find out, that's not what I was looking for after all. What that hole is really for is for your higher power. Your higher power is the only thing that fits in there perfect. It's the only thing. When they say that CoDA is an inside job, they mean get all of that, evict all of that other stuff that's going to make you happy. All that stuff you've been putting in there that's going to make you happy someday. Evict all of that stuff, get all of that out there, and put your higher power in there instead and see what happens. Just see what happens. Don't take my word for it. Just try it and see what happens. It could be a cry for unconditional love, which I'm not sure I believe in. I don't think there is such a thing as unconditional love. If you beat on me, for example, I'm probably not going to return love to you. Not anymore. There was a time when I probably would. But many of us turn to other people, drugs, alcohol, or other addictions to fill this need to gain some sense of safety, self-worth, and well-being. Well, what do I need to be safe from? I finally asked myself that question. What am I scared of? What do I need to be safe from right now? Why do I need a sense of safety? I'm not in any danger. I could put myself in a dangerous situation. Of course, I know how to do that, but I'm not in danger right now. Why do what is it about not feeling safe for me? Had to really dig into that and find out what my problem is. My sponsor is so clever. And so she has such a good program, and she keeps it very simple for me. She tells me, Karen, when you have a problem and you cannot figure it out, just go find the nearest mirror and have a good look, because the problem is right there. It's looking at you. You are the problem. Your reaction to something is the problem. Your perception of something is the problem. Other people get to be who they are. They're going to say, do, think, and act the way they want to. You got no business in that. If they don't act the way you like them to act, leave the damn room. You know, you don't have to stick around for that stuff, but you also don't get to change them. You don't even get to try to change them, because that's what the patterns are for. That's what I used to do. Every change that I made was temporary. I tell my favorite change story is about Valentine's Day. Because now, men, I don't know if you know this, but it's important for the women, if we work in an office with other women, to not get flowers sent home. We need them sent to the office so everybody can see that somebody cares about us. That's really what they're for. Okay, that's really it. For a codependent who's still sick, that's what the flowers are for. If somebody cares about me and I have visual proof. So I could get somebody to send me flowers, but I haven't changed their basic nature. Next year, I'm going to have to re-manipulate them. So, all these temporary changes that I thought were being permanent, it would always shock me when they didn't take. I can't change that other person. They are who they are. So there's a couple of questions in here. I love these questions. They're so sneaky. Do I control others to relieve my fears? Yeah, there's the control pattern. Do I let others control me for fear of their abuse and neglect? Yeah, there's some denial. Do I adapt or change my behavior for others? There's compliance. Do I validate my value and worth as a person through them? There's low self-esteem. And do I avoid others in order to feel safe? There's avoidance. Very clever. Whoever did that was like, okay, I see what you did there. But once again, I don't need to feel safe from anything. I am not in danger. I'm not in danger. Nobody can hurt me. What? I like to use visuals. I'm not an auditory person per se, so I use a lot of visual imagery in my own recovery. And I picture myself in the eye of a hurricane. Because, if you're in the eye of the hurricane, you can see those satellite photos where there's a little round circle right in the middle, but there's nothing going on inside that circle. There's no wind in there. The wind is all on the outside, and it's a nice sunny day. You can look up and see the sun. And there's no clouds right there. It's not a very big spot, but you're right in the middle, keeping to yourself, everything's fine. And there's cows going by and trucks and witches on bikes and it's just chaos out there, right? And as long as you stay inside and mind your own damn business, you're fine. And there is no weather inside there, but as soon as you stick your hand out to go help somebody, you're in the chaos with them. Nice way to think about it. So just take your hands off everybody else, take your hands off your own life, and just see what happens. Just see what happens. Don't take my word for it. Another page number, please.
55.
55. All right. I'm surprised this book holds together. See what I did with my book? I got this spine thing on here, and I wish they would do that. I ripped off the spine and put the little spiral thing in there so I can lay it down while I'm reading. Because I talk with my hands. I don't know if you've noticed. Step 7. Humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. Humbly. I understand that I need to come down a couple of notches. I've been coming down a couple of notches my entire life. There are times when I need to come up a couple of notches to be right-sized. I prefer the term right-sized to humble, because if I'm practicing a control pattern, it's true, I do need to come down a notch or two. But all of the other patterns, low self-esteem, denial, compliance, and avoidance, I need to come up a couple of notches to get to my right size. So it's a suggestion only if you want to kind of think of it that way instead of humbly. I've been down, but somebody said one time, he said he just keeps coming to these meetings so he could build up some low self-esteem. And I'm thinking, good on you, pal. You keep coming back, humbly ask God, right-sized, ask God, even with my higher power, I need to be right-sized. I don't grovel before anyone anymore. My higher power is my partner. We're going through this together. I listen to what he says. He seems to have a better plan than I do. I'll admit that one. After much consideration, we defined humility as freedom from false pride and arrogance. True humility allowed us to see things as they were. If I'm right-sized, I can see things as they are. I don't see them through a filter of the pudgy kid that I used to be. I don't see things through my past. Karen's not as smart as her sisters. I don't have those filters in front of me anymore. If I see things as they are, don't get insulted. I don't have to walk on eggshells. Nobody's trying to hurt me. And if they are, bless your heart, you're going to have to work at it, because I'm dense. As far as hurting me now, you're going to have to repeat yourself, or write it down, or just flat out tell me I'm trying to hurt you right now. And then I'll say, okay, have a nice day. Bye-bye. Hope you get your pony. Okay. We would not instruct our higher power to remove our shortcomings, neither would we beg. You see that? Right-sized. I'm going to gently ask, though, because it keeps it right here. You know, if I had a big thing with gossip, and I probably still do it on occasion because it's so much fun. And besides that, I get to be one up if I'm gossiping about somebody, you know, so it's hard to resist, but I try not to do that. But if I'm, what was I going to say? If I am a gossip, I just ask my higher power, I am a gossip. Please help me be more aware of that. And I'll be darned if I'm not extremely aware of that going forward. And it's pointed out to me constantly, you're gossiping again. And I will stop myself mid-sentence and go, what? You know what? I'm sorry. That's none of my business. I apologize. Or I've actually stopped myself mid-sentence while I was speaking one time, and I said, wait a minute, I might be lying about that. Hold on. You know, because I might be full of crap. I don't know. Only my sponsor knows, I think. And having asked God or a higher power to remove our shortcomings, which is our use of the patterns, okay? They have these little words in here, shortcomings, defects, those are your patterns. That's your use of the patterns. Those are your shortcomings and your defects. I wish they made that a little bit more clear. You are not defective. I hope you know that. There's nothing wrong with you. You weren't raised upright, you know? What are they saying in the South? She wasn't raised right, okay? And that's the truth for me. My parents had no idea how to raise children, and they didn't raise an adult, they raised a child. So that's what I got out of it, but they were sick too. They didn't have any ability. They didn't have the ability to pass on to me something that they didn't have. So I got to forgive them for that, and I have. We experienced their loss with sadness. When we stop using the patterns, it's sad. I don't have that at my disposal anymore. Bummer, because it worked so well for so long. Oh my God, such a success. I'd never expected to grieve for what I'd come to believe was detrimental to my happiness. Now, these old friends, the old friends are your use of the patterns. They can be your fantasy life. I don't know about anybody else, but I had a whole dual life going on that had nothing to do with my current one. You know, that I was living in a romance novel or in a movie or somewhere else, and I was never myself. I was always the heroine in the book, you know, because I wasn't attractive, but the girl in the book was. So I just take on somebody else's persona. I believe that that's the heart of our personality problems. When we try to be authentic and try to figure out who we are, how would we know? When I was a child, I wasn't allowed to have a personality. I was allowed to feel the way the room felt at any given time. If my mom was in a good mood, I was allowed to be in a good mood. It was somewhat safe. If she was angry, just, you know, stay low and try to get the heck out of there. I would take on whatever personality was going on in the room, because that's the way you could be safe. And I brought that forward into adulthood. That's how I became a chameleon. So when I was alone, that's why I overlapped my relationships. I couldn't be alone. I didn't have my own personality. I had to have somebody else that I could attach myself to, like a barnacle, to be honest, so that I would have a personality. I finally figured that out. I think that was my main problem, under the question of what's wrong with me. Among other things, I was a barnacle. When I went about trying to find out who I was, it was quite a journey, and the way I went about that is to test myself. What do I know about myself? I hate camping. Okay, is that true or not true? Everything I thought I knew about myself, I'd bring it up and say, is that true or not true? It's not true that I hate camping. I hated the people I went camping with. There was my family, and it was misery, misery. It's not only too hot or too cold, it's dirty, there's bugs, there's no television, there's nothing to distract them from us kids. And it was family time, yeah. And it was wretched for all of us. All of us hated it because we didn't spend time together. So when we were forced into that, it was just miserable. I couldn't wait to go home and go back to school. But when I went camping with a bunch of sober women and we did a rafting trip, that was different. I didn't hate camping, didn't love camping. Now it's okay. I'll do it if there's a good reason. If there's sober women involved, I'm in. I don't hate camping, but I had to ask myself these questions because I believed a lot of lies for a long time. I told my sponsor I have a black thumb. I can't garden because she loves to garden. And oh, there's some pretty flowers. And she's very good at gardening fruits and vegetables and all that stuff. I said, God, I'm no good at that. So for Christmas, what'd she do? She got me a plant. I'm like, wow, she doesn't pay attention to me at all. She is not hearing me. She said, just see what you do with this one. And it was a paper white, one of the best smelling plants ever. It's a miraculous smell. And I treated that one plant with all the love I could give a plant. I didn't go out and plant a bunch of hard to grow orchids. I took care of that one plant. And I eventually killed it because I just don't tend to them like other people do. I don't have the patience for it or the desire to do it. It's not a gift of mine. Other people have that gift. Once I found out that not everybody has all the gifts, you have some, other people have other ones, it's okay. I'm not a great cook. I can cook. Lied about that too. I can cook. Of course I can. Anybody who can open up a can of chili can cook, right? But I'm not a great cook. It's okay. I don't have the skills because I wasn't taught any of the skills. Maybe when I retire, I'll take some cooking classes, who knows? But I don't have the gift of grabbing the can of garbanzo beans and chili powder and making a 5-course meal. And the people that can do that, bless your hearts, not my gift. And I'll be at your house for dinner. Old friends, the lies that I told myself. The lies were friends to me because they protected me. I can't cook, therefore don't rely on me to cook. I can't garden. Don't rely on me to watch your plants when you're out of town. I can't snowboard. Okay, that's a lie. Anybody can snowboard. You stand on a snowboard, you move a couple of inches, you're snowboarding, okay? What I meant by that was I can't snowboard like Shaun White. Okay, well, I never will be able to. He's the only one that can do that. That's his gift, I don't need to be like him. I need to be like me. I actually kept at it and took up snowboarding when I turned 50, and I could get down any slope now without killing myself or anybody else usually. And it's fun. I enjoy it. I really, really enjoy it because it's my snowboarding. I don't have to be perfection. People ask me, oh, do you do tricks? I said, not on purpose, but I've done some really neat things though. Anyway, okay, let go of those old friends. They haven't served you. Okay. We think they have, but they have not. Chapter 3, a suggested program of recovery. It's just a suggestion. Like, for example, if you're going to jump out of a plane and you're wearing a parachute, go ahead and pull that little ripcord. It's a suggestion. It's a matter of velocity. You're still going to hit the ground. It's just a matter of how fast you're going. It's a good suggestion. When you get into this program, go ahead and pull the ripcord. These are not quick fixes. They never were. I wanted to get in here and I thought my opinion of CoDA is I'd get in there and get a couple of sayings that I could tell people so they would get off my back and leave me alone. That's what I thought I was going to be able to do, a way of speaking to other people to tell them to piss off in a nice way, of course, and that's not what happened. That's okay. No quick fixes. The steps help us see how our past experiences of abuse and neglect have formed and reinforced our codependent behaviors and lifestyles. We learned how to turn over our self-claimed power. Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you this really neat story. Whether it's true or not is beside the point. This guy was talking about, there was a friend of his in school, and this guy he was a slacker at school. You know, he didn't really study and things like that. Came down to the SATs and everybody had to take them. And he just kind of, you know, whatever, his way through it and just did what he could and turned it in. And he thought, yeah, I probably bombed on that one. And it came back and he had a really high score. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that I'm smart. Well, shoot, I'm going to college then. I mean, if I'm smart, I can use this. He went on, went to college. He's a self-made millionaire, started his own business, and wildly successful. Decades down the road, he found out that there actually had been an error and his score was extremely low. If he had known that back then, he would not have gone to college, would not have started his own business because his opinion would have matched that score. When I was going through school, I had a B minus C plus. That's the best I could do. I'm not a good memorizer. It doesn't intrigue me. I don't take the time to do that. My sisters, however, got straight A's, older and younger. So it was possible to have that in my family, just not from me. And so what I got from that is that I'm not smart. Couple of decades down the road, all three of my, two of my sisters and I, we had a chance to get IQ tests done all at the same time. And we got our results. I'm a genius. I have a 142 IQ. I qualify for Mensa if I wanted to hang around with those people, which I don't even know. But they are not geniuses. They think differently than I do. It doesn't mean I'm better or worse than them. They think differently. Their mind works differently. I think logically. They are good at memorizing. It doesn't mean good or bad. You know, we tend to label things. That's good, that's bad. And as an end, we end up holding on to that label forever until we find out something different. When I found out I had a genius IQ, that's when I started taking algebra classes again, and I really enjoyed it. I almost flunked out of it when I was in school, but now I was interested in it because it's logic. Algebra is logic based on my planet anyway. So it was very interesting to me. It was like a puzzle, and I wasn't getting graded on it. It was just for me. If you want to try something that on your own, go to khanacademy.org. I believe it is KAHN academy.org. It's free, and you can take whatever classes you want to take. Go find out about yourself, you know, find out if you like algebra. I did. It was very strange to figure that out because I barely slid by. Okay, we grow in humility as we learn of our shortcomings and defects. And there it is again, that humility. Shortcomings and defects is your use of the patterns. And we recognize our skills, talents, and successes. It was hard for me to realize that I had skills, talents, and successes. So it was suggested, again, everything is suggested. I don't have my own ideas anymore, which is a good thing. She said, go ahead and send out an email and ask people to describe you in one word. So I just said, sounds dangerous, but could be fun. And I got some really interesting things back. Concise was the one that was, because I tend to speed share. I don't talk forever, which I know what you're thinking. It's okay. But when I'm sharing in a meeting, I don't, you never have to use a timer on me. But so I got that a lot. But I also got things like kind, giving, loving, things like that. And I didn't see myself that way, but other people did. And in our step work, we strive on a daily basis to maintain accountability for our own behavior. I was busy with your behavior, not mine. I was busy correcting you so that you could make me happy. It's simple. You know, that's why we do that, right? That's why we use the patterns on other people so they can make us happy. To me, that's very straightforward. We rely more freely upon our higher power for our true value, worth, and well-being. My true value, I am a useful person now. I've got great recovery. I have a great sponsor. I'm a good speaker. That's my gift, and I pass it on. That's my gift. That's my true value and worth. I'm not a good cook. Do not come to my house for dinner. You're going to be disappointed, but come to my workshops. You know, that's where I shine. Another page, please. Or 18, shame. Oh, yes, yes. Okay. What drives our need to control and avoid others? The answer can be found in our motivation. If Mary talks about this a lot, she says that I'm either operating out of love or I'm operating out of fear. If I'm operating out of love, it's all about the other person. It's 100% about the other person. I'm nowhere in there. I'm not going to benefit from it at all. If I'm operating out of fear, it has something to do with me. An example would be like if my boss has appendicitis and she goes to the hospital. Should I send her flowers or not? If I like this woman, or if I've had an operation before and I know how hospitals are and I want her to be happy and I send her flowers, that's operating out of love. If, however, I send flowers because I'm afraid what would happen if I don't send flowers, maybe I won't get a promotion going forward. Maybe she'll pass me up for a raise. That's fear. So we were conditioned to behave this way in our childhood. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. We rely on past survival instincts. Those are the patterns. Once again, there's a little buzzword that what they mean by that is the patterns, such as control and avoidance. I took it so far as to, I'm sorry, I make myself laugh now, but it's, it's absolutely made sense at the time. Anytime I would go to a dinner party at somebody else's house or my house, didn't matter where, there's always that time for chit chat, when everybody sits around and chit chats between dinner and dessert. And I would always get uncomfortable thinking I have to entertain people and what if they don't like me? So I would get up and start clearing the table and doing the dishes. And the hostesses loved me, they just, oh my God, thank you so much. You're so sweet. It had nothing to do with them. Being honest, I was trying to get away from that table because I was scared that I wouldn't come across well. My motivation was fear-based, had nothing to do with the hostess, but I did get out to, back quite a bit. So it all depends on your motivation. That's the very basis. Am I behaving codependently? Just ask, why am I doing this? Fear. For many of us, fear is our guardian. Yeah. As codependents, we habitually use fear to protect ourselves. Again, what do I need to be protected from? I'm safe. I am not in danger. I am not in the danger I was in when I was a child. That's done. All those bad things stopped happening. So I don't need to protect myself anymore. I don't need to cocoon myself anymore. I'm okay. If you want to try to hurt me now, you're going to have to work at it verbally. I have never had anybody try to physically, well, okay, that's a lie. It's been a long time since somebody physically tried to assault me. So I'm okay. I don't need to be in fear. And I actually have a fairly fearless life now. I can't think of anything that I'm still afraid of. There was a time when I was testing myself and trying to find out who am I really? What am I afraid of? What am I like as a person? And I was in Vegas to get eye surgery. And before I had that, I was staying at the Stratosphere, and they have the roller coasters on top. Okay, this is in Vegas, up on the top of this 100 floors up. You got roller coasters and things like that, and you can also jump off the building if you want. And they would attach. It's not a bungee cord necessarily; it's just a slow down cord, so you don't splat when you hit the bottom. You can walk away. It's really cool, but I've always been afraid of jumping off things, even if it's into water, and I've always felt safe in water. So I thought, well, okay, it's here, I'm here, I have the money. There goes all my excuses. So I went up there and I kept telling myself, don't think. Don't think. That is your biggest problem, is you think way, way, way too much. So when he said, okay, so I'm going to count you down, count down 3, 2, 1, and then you can go whenever you want to. Let me just check your harness. And he's rattling things around, checking, making sure that I'm hooked up and everything. He says, okay, 3, 2, 1. I said, bye. Walked right off the side of the building. And then I made this really weird noise. I don't know, it was like, because I just realized what I did. But then I'm flying. It was like, wow, I was so amazed at myself. I look what I just did. If I can do that, what is left that I can't do? There's nothing else that I need to be afraid of. Now, there are instances in our lives when we should be afraid. If I'm in a neighborhood I'm not familiar with and it's a dead of night and it doesn't look like a good neighborhood and I got a flat tire, maybe I should stay in my car and keep that door locked, just out of personal safety, because I don't know what's going to happen. But generally speaking, we're not in danger. We don't need to be constantly afraid of things. And shame is insidious, because it's a carryover. It's a carryover from our childhood. Here's the difference. Guilt means I did something wrong. Shame means I am wrong. I'm flawed as an individual. There's something wrong with me and my basic makeup. I'm flawed. But that's not true. All those shame messages are absolutely not true. And the only reason you can, or the only way you can determine whether you're okay or not okay, whether you're one up or one down, is to compare yourself to somebody else. The problem is that you're comparing yourself to their outsides. You don't know anything about those people. You don't have any idea, because I had a really good appearance. I appeared very strong. I appeared very together. I appeared like I was happy. I appeared just like I had been taught to. So I looked great. And if you wanted to pattern yourself after me, I feel sorry for you. But that, because I wouldn't let anybody know what was going on inside. So don't compare yourself to other people. You have no idea what's going on there. Okay, less than or more than, yeah. Next page number, please.
12.
Pardon me?
12.
12, thank you. Acceptance. Acceptance is the key. My sponsor was very clear about this. Karen, what else is there? What else is there besides acceptance? It's the only thing that we can do. I mean, we can continue to practice the patterns if we want to. You can continue to suffer if you really need to. Or you can just accept that your life is the way it's supposed to be right now, or it wouldn't be this way. If you take your hands off your life, let your higher power step in there and start doing what he's been wanting to do for a long time, but he didn't have a chance, he or she or it didn't have the chance because you were busy running it. Just wait and see what happens. A friend of mine talked about floating one time. She said, "Oh, I'm floating today." And everybody said, "Oh, you're so cute." But what she meant by that was she was usually swimming upstream, thrashing and thrashing and thrashing to get to something upstream right there on the rock. I can see it from here. That's what I'm supposed to have. Thrashing and swimming as hard as she can, not getting anywhere. She's finally exhausted, and she rolls over and just floats down to the rock where what she's supposed to have is sitting. We tend to go after things that are short-sighted. Number one, if I had, I've got this great job now that pays more than I've ever made. I get to work from home. It's awesome. Everybody loves me. It's less work than I've ever had to do. And I just kind of, I say lucked into this thing. Luck had nothing to do with it. I let my higher power put me there. I would not have chosen this job. I didn't apply for it. A headhunter found me. So what I'm saying is you do the footwork and let go of the results, and you're going to end up where you're supposed to be, not where not where you chose to be. So you can live life rather than survive it. Let your life unfold. Let go. Just let go. See what happens. Another page number, please. 33. Hope I heard you correctly. Oh, step 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Well, I certainly hope so. Number one, I just got called insane. That's not cool, but it's accurate. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result. That's the way I played out my life. If it didn't work out, I just tried harder, tried to use different patterns or manipulate them in a different way to get what I wanted. My higher power gets me, though. my higher power understands what's what's needed to get me to do what I'm supposed to be doing. And I've made it a lot easier on him. With the help of others in the program, we began to look more clearly at our own behavior instead of other people's behavior. Might as well just say that. We discovered a great truth. No matter how well-meaning we believed we were, we continued to act in self-destructive ways. Here's another thing we did wrong: rescuing other people that don't actually want to be rescued. Have you got those friends that are ruminators? They'll call and tell you their problems over and over again, same problem, same thing. It's just a different day, over and over and over again. And they don't actually want to get help. They just want you to hear about that problem over and over. You give them great advice. They don't take that advice. They just want to talk about it over and over again. They're ruminators. They don't want to get well. If you're going to get in this program and get serious about it, you got to do, well, like my sponsor said, again, she keeps it simple. If you want what I have, you got to do what I did. And what I did was work these steps without hesitation. And no matter how well-meaning we believed we were, I used to be extremely helpful, aggressively helpful, you might say, with other people. And because I knew best for them, and I could help them out of their, straighten out their own life. Couldn't fix mine, but I could fix yours. And then it was pointed out to me that unsolicited advice equals criticism. Unsolicited advice equals criticism. I thought, well, that can't be right. I'm trying to be helpful. Damn it. But really, all I was doing was telling people they weren't smart enough to think of this themselves. If somebody gives me unsolicited advice, I will think about it, certainly. There might be some merit to it, but it is up to me ultimately to decide what I'm going to do, or whether that's good advice or whether it fits. Anything that I'm saying today, you get to decide whether it fits or not me. And our behavior became compulsive. We couldn't actually help ourselves. That's all we knew how to do. That's all our parents knew either. The neat thing about this program is that I can be around other people in the world, anybody in the world, and not be affected by them. Not let their behavior affect me in any way. It's awesome. They get to be who they are. It's, you know, I almost have this internal God bless her voice. Okay. You know, when somebody misbehaving around me, it's all like that. Oh, bless her heart. You know, I had that weird Southern thing, because they have all the good expressions. Well, bless her heart, right? Yeah, bless her dark little heart. Can I have another page number, please? So I learned to trust. Well, learning to trust others appropriately doesn't happen until we're able to trust ourselves. It tells me in this book very clearly that I have to get right with my higher power first, then get right with myself second, and everybody else is dead last. Everybody else ties for last. Okay. I come second. Higher power comes first. My recovery is more important. It's the main thing. They say it all the time, keep the main thing the main thing. And it makes it a lot simpler. I don't just automatically trust people anymore. If you want to tell me something that you want me to believe with my whole heart, I'm going to have to take it in for a while and think about it. And if it's true, it's true. If I decide it's true, and if it's true for you, it might not be true for me. See, that's the thing. We're different people. All of us are different. What might be true and germane to you on your planet might not have anything to do with me. You know, you might be great at gardening and say, well, why doesn't Karen love gardening? I can help her be a good gardener. No, you can't, because I don't have that desire. You know, I just don't have that like you do. I'm different. That's a nice page. Do I have to forgive those who hurt me? Blame keeps wounds open, and forgiveness lets wounds heal. If I want to heal, I must learn to forgive. But really, in the grand scheme of things, there's nothing to forgive. Other people are behaving the way they know how to behave. They are behaving according to their upbringing, just like you behave according to yours. We're just all bumping around in the world doing the best we can at any given moment. There's nothing to forgive. Even though it seems like, you know, some people go out of their way to be harmful and things like that, I can't help them with that, and I can't get involved in it. and it doesn't hurt me. I don't trust them until I get to know people quite a bit more now. You have to earn my trust. I don't just hand it over like I used to. But do I forgive people? Of course. Of course, you get to be whoever you are. And then I'll just decide if I want to go around you or not. That's all. Can I have another page number, please? And you're on step, this is a big one. What is this? Step 11. Cool. Let's see what we have here. Oh, when I was trying to figure this whole thing out, and I'm always trying to figure everything out, I need to know stuff. What I finally ended up asking my higher power is, what is my place in this world? What is my place? Where do I fit in? You show me, I'll go there. And it's been very clear to me. I'm a speaker, and I'm a sponsor, and I'm in recovery. That's my place. And the people in recovery are my people. When I would pray for the wrong things. I used to pray, what should I do about this? Well, usually my answer was, "Butt the hell out." You know, I used to get that a lot. So then I started praying, what, if anything, should I do about this? You know, I don't have to take action the way I used to. We are people of action. When we get uncomfortable, we can't just sit there. We have to do something about it. That's why the patterns are so effective, because it's short term, but at least it handles the problem temporarily. Now I don't have to take action, and so I don't. It's hard to get used to. It's boring, and it makes me feel like I'm dropping my end of the deal, but it's okay. Everything's okay. Once we are assured of God's will, we ask for God's grace, strength, and courage to carry it out. Thankfully, my higher power doesn't want me to join the Peace Corps. You know, again, that camping thing, there's bugs, it's dirty. There's no air conditioning. If I were to have my own superpower, it would be, I would be able to control the weather. Okay. There wouldn't be 100-degree days. There's no point to that. There's no use for it. Okay. 70 is fine. That's on my planet. That's what it would be. But it also tells me I need to be courageous, and that tells me that I'm going to be afraid. That doesn't have to be true. All you need to do for this is lean in. Somebody said this so clearly one time, instead of leaning out, just lean in. That's all the courage you're going to need to do this program. Just stop leaning out going, oh, no, I don't think so. This is especially important when circumstances are emotionally overwhelming, and they will be. You know, things happen. Life still just goes on just the way it always did. I still have squirrely bosses. I still have family that you know, not 100% safe, but because they're still volatile. I never know. So they aren't high on my trust-o-meter. It's okay. I can still go around them. Our spirit progressively comes to know peace and well-being. I love the way they wrote this book, because they don't say you're going to be peaceful, boom, and that's the end of it. That's not how this works. You get progressively more peaceful as you work this. And then the need for the courage subsides. It doesn't go away. You don't get bonked with a magic wand and all of a sudden you're well. It just gets easier and easier and easier as you go along. You don't need to believe me, just try it out. Let's see, anything else in here? Control and as we grow, we are truly allowing our higher power to control our daily lives. Yeah, just take your hands off. That's all. Take your hands off, see what happens. Another page number, please. One of the first things I wrote down in here is, I'm not a victim, I'm a volunteer. Now, I didn't believe that. When I was a child, I was absolutely a victim. I had no choices. That's where that unmanageability came in. There's step one, there's two parts to it. One, I admitted my powerlessness over others. When I was a child, I had no power at all. I had no decision-making powers. I couldn't leave when things got tough. Couldn't have an opinion. My opinion was never asked for. I didn't have any decision-making power. And I was powerless, truly. But as an adult, I carried that forward, but it's no longer true. I thought I was stuck, but I wasn't. I am not a victim, not anymore. I'm a volunteer. Let's see, the roots of unhealthy behavior. Those are the patterns. They started a long time ago, before you even spoke English. when you want to look back at your past, you're doing step forward and things like that, go ahead and look back, just don't stare at it. Somebody said that cleverly. They said, it's okay to look at your past, just don't stare at it. Because that's when you get into the deep, oh, woe is me, why did this happen to me? It's all about me and stuff. That's when you can start getting into that depression. It's not necessary. We find it helpful to list the losses we've experienced in our childhood and adult life. That doesn't just mean people. It means our victimhood. It means our fantasy life. It means, I didn't have a childhood. I'm just now in my first childhood. I'm having a blast. I'm absolutely having a blast. I do what I want. I'm a responsible human being. I'm in balance, and I have a playful side to me that I really indulge. And it's fun because I never had that. I was always a little adult because we were more slaves than anything else. As soon as we were able to, we were cooking the meals, cleaning the house, cleaning the pool, weeding the lawn. I'm not sure what they did. We didn't see them. As long as we were busy doing stuff for them, we didn't have to see them, which was good. It was good. It was better that way. But the losses that I had, there were, boy, too many to mention. As we release these feelings, we begin to release the energies that drive our codependent behaviors. Being codependent is a full-time job. It's exhausting. Running the whole planet is exhausting. It really is. And you don't have to do that anymore. You can quit that job whenever you want to. In doing so, we begin to release the emotional depths of our powerlessness and unmanageability. That was childhood stuff. You're not there anymore. All those bad things stopped happening. Deal with what happens right in front of you right now. It's a lot easier. And try to deal with it as an adult. You're still going to have the little kids in there arguing and going nuts, and they have all their own personalities milling around in there like schizophrenia or multiple personality disorder or something. They're all still in there. You've got your little kid, your prepubescent, your adolescent, your teenager, and everybody's pissed. Okay, that's okay. It's all right, but they don't get to make the decisions. They're not the ones that get to go to a cocktail party. Okay, the adult has to do that. The adult has to be in charge. I'm the one that's in charge. I say things and do things. I don't let the 16-year-old drive, stuff like that. It's okay to have those little kids being upset. It takes a while to get past some of the things that happen. This CoDA program takes a while sometimes to kick in. It's all right. But they don't get to make decisions, and they don't get to speak. They don't get to speak. Okay, don't let your kids talk to your boss. Okay. Don't do what I did. Basically, don't do what I did. Okay. Yeah. Next page number, please. We're not alone. Many before us have completed this step. We rely on God to lead us on this difficult inward journey. All this is a fact-finding mission. That's all. We're just going to find out what happened. We're not going to have to relive it. There's a part of that happens. It's unavoidable because of who we are. But you don't have to. Go take a look at it as an observer. Try to be an observer when you're doing your step forward. Just want to find out what happened. Remember the courage to complete this step. Don't be scared. Just lean in. Don't lean out. And it doesn't come, the courage to complete this doesn't come from the absence of fear. It comes from our willingness to walk toward it and then through it. You got to stop, turn around, and walk right towards it purposefully. They talk about trudging the road of happy destiny in another program, and trudging sounds horrible. It sounds uphill, sounds like you're carrying a lot of weight. It sounds hard. All trudge means is to walk purposely. That's it. And that's what you're going to be doing here. You're just going to walk purposefully through this, and you're going to find out who you are and who you're not. You've been told a lot of things that aren't true. They're just not true. They were told to you by people that either didn't like you very much, or that were, my mom and I are so much alike, there's no way she could like me. No way. I was a mirror image of her and all of her bad behavior and personality problems. No way we could get along. So, that's just, once I realized that I was exactly like her, it was a shock. It was horrifying. And I thought, well, that's going to have to change. So don't be afraid. I mean, there's always going to be some fear involved, but my motto is do it anyway. You know, that don't forget that pony that you get at the end. You're not going to get that pony if you don't just do it anyway. Thanks. Like I said, don't do what I did. I kept everything in my head. My sponsor says, okay, are you done? We're going to do your fifth step. Oh, no, yeah, I haven't. It's all right here. I haven't written it down yet. It's okay. We'll do it next Tuesday. I'm like, okay, now I got a deadline. I have to write it down. She knows me so well, but you don't want to keep it up here. Write it down. If it's in your head, it's going to stay there and cause you trouble. Burn a hole in your head. It's not good. There are several methods of doing this. I have a form that I have my sponsees fill out and just ask questions. How is this affected? How about this, and that? By the time you fill out and answer all those questions, you know what's wrong. You know what happened. You know what. And really, the only thing you're trying to do with the step 4 is find out, in this particular instance, how do I typically react and why? And do I need to react that way? We're trying to change our behavior. So if I've always done it this one particular way, if I as soon as things start to go sideways or seem to go sideways, if I run, okay, so I got to stop running. My sponsor told me, okay, look, you're an avoider, so I'm going to need you to, for the next 90 days, instead of saying no, I want you to say yes. I said, that sounds terrible. But I did it anyway, did it anyway. And of course, she was tricking me. She meant forever. But I stopped saying no. I stopped saying automatic no. And I just started saying yes and trying it anyway. Do it anyway. See what happens. Then it's kind of an adventure. Okay, so it talks about every once in a while, even after we work the steps, every once in a while, we're going to slide backwards because we're going to be dealing with something. Now, here's the neat part. You've already dealt with the huge stuff, right? You stopped robbing banks. That's a big deal. You stopped doing the big stuff, right? But now you've got the little bitty things that you could do better. It's not necessarily just doing things wrong. It's just I could do that better. I should have used an I statement instead of pointing my finger of blame and, stuff like that. So we admit at that moment that we're powerless once again. Momentarily, our lives have become unmanageable once again. It's okay. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Please try to be nice to yourself. You've taken a beating for years. However old you are right now, that's how many years you've been torturing yourself. Or other people have, and then you took over when they stopped. We may never be free of our codependence. We're human, we're human. If I stop going to CoDA meetings, I'm going to slide back into my previous personality. That's my fear. I don't think that that's true, but I don't want to chance it. So I keep going to meetings. And we're going to experience a new freedom and a new strength to that which God intended precious and free. A new freedom. My new freedom was when I would quit a job or get a divorce. Yay, I'm free. Or when I'd go get up, move and go get a different apartment and live somewhere else. I'm free. I'm starting over once again. That was what I considered a new freedom. Don't need to do that anymore. I'm staying right where I am. And a new strength. I'm not afraid anymore. Yeah, old strength equals the patterns, new strength equals acceptance. I love that. The journey continues. We find a balancing our recovery work with play, laughter, and fun is important. Got to dance the other day with one of the girls that went to Canada for the international convention. They asked me to pick a song, a recovery song that I wanted to dance to. I'm thinking, well, actually, it's got to be James Brown, right? Hardest working man in entertainment, right? And that song, Get Up Off of That Thing. Now, I'm going to give you the lyrics to the whole song. It's very important. Get up off of that thing and dance till you feel better. Get up off of that thing and try to release that pressure. That's it. Those are the whole lyrics. It's got a great beat. It's so easy to dance to. Boy, they put that song on. Everybody popped up. Well, okay, that's a lie. A lot of people popped up and started dancing. And I thought, what better song for recovery is there? Because when I get up and start dancing, I do feel better. Get your body moving, start getting that adrenaline rush going. If you're sitting there feeling sad or stuck, you're not stuck. Get up and dance. To keep your life in balance or in harmony with the universe, however you want to look at it, we've got work, play, recovery, time for your relationship, time for yourself. It all has to be there. If you do one thing to the excess, that one thing is your higher power. Just a rule of thumb. And I have another page. Oh, enmeshment. Wow. Enmeshment is when you disappear into another person. And I know you can relate to that. It's that whole chameleon thing where you cease to exist and you become that other person's personality. You don't actually have your own. So you meld into them and you like what they like and you think the way they think and you change political parties and you like hard jazz, even though you don't like hard jazz, but you'll do anything to be with that person, be exactly the same as they are, because the way I saw it, if I'm exactly the same as they are, they're not going to get rid of me. Why would they? You know, so you're my everything. Without you, I'm nothing. I need you. You make me whole. That's romance novel horse puckies, okay? It's not real. If you are a romance novel reader, please put those down. That is not true. There's nothing true in there. If you like romantic comedies, switch to the Discovery Channel for a while. See if you can wean yourself off that, because it's not true. What the romance novels tell you is that you're going to meet a guy who's a bad guy, and he's not really a good person. He's probably even a bank robber, who knows, but he's the hero in this particular book. You notice how the guy, the main romantic lead, could be a bank robber. That's bad, okay? That's bad. You shouldn't rob banks, but he's the romantic lead, so he's the hero. Oh, okay, well, that makes sense. And it did make sense to me. But a little discernment there. He's a bank robber. He's telling him, don't call him. You know, he's a one. So if you're going to mesh with somebody, it's easy. It's just as easy to mesh with somebody who's healthy. Come on. It might even be easier. But equal relationships don't include disappearing. It doesn't include chameleon behavior, barnacling onto that person. Have your own personality. My boyfriend has his own personality. He has his likes and his preferences. He has stuff that he does. I have stuff that I do. And then we do stuff together. He's still an individual. That's important. He's very quirky. He's a good match for me. That's all I'm saying. I think that made it, answered all your questions. Okay, another page is letting go. Avoidance is running away. Avoidance isn't good for you because you haven't solved anything. You know, you just ran. You didn't close it off. We can run away from our responsibilities. Avoidance is often driven by fear. I would have to say it is always driven by fear of experiencing rejection, anger, disappointment, abandonment. You're either operating out of love or you're operating out of fear. And here's where this comes into play again, because if you detach with somebody, it's because you love yourself enough to do that. If you avoid somebody, it's because you're scared and you're a runner. Stop, turn around, face your fear. Okay, you're not in danger, usually. Okay. And what else? We have a little bit of time left. Another page number. These are not quick fixes. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Humility, shortcomings, and defects. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm going to talk about it again because it's so important. This humility notion. If you are a controlling person and you're practicing your control patterns, you do need to come down a couple of notches to be your right sized. All of the other patterns, low self-esteem, compliance, denial, and avoidance, you need to come up a couple of notches to get to your right side. And that includes when you're talking to your higher power. You don't need to beg your higher power. He's your friend. He, she, or it is your friend. That's your buddy. That's your pal. That's your equal. You should be able to just speak to that higher power. Let's see, accountability for our own behavior, our true value and worth. Yeah. The stuff that you got from your childhood has not served you well. You can let that stuff go now. You don't need that cloak, you know, that shell, what do they call it? The cocoon, you know, you can go ahead and get rid of that now. You're okay. Those people are not hurting you any longer. and maybe another page or two. Your list out of people that you've harmed, to start with your 4-step, because all those people are going to be on there. They obviously they've upset you for something. They did something to you to get to qualify for that list. But you should also list the people that did not hurt you. I had one of my best amends that I ever made was in a different program, and I was still drinking, and I was trying not to drink, and I thought, I'm going to try everything. And I joined this church choir. It was a mega church down in Southern California. And I thought, if I'm in the church choir, maybe it'll rub off on me somehow. I was trying everything. I was trying everything I could think of, but I was still drinking. And the choir mistress had to come and ask me to leave. She had to meet me on my way to rehearsal and ask me to please leave. And she did it with so much love and compassion. She didn't hurt me. She did the right thing. She did what she had to do, and I understood, and I was not hurt. But I put it on my 8-step list because I was wondering if I hurt her. As it turns out, when I made my amend to her, I contacted her. I don't know if you remember me. My name is such and such and blah, blah. I'm sober now and I'm doing my 9-step amends. And she said, oh my goodness, of course, I remember you. As it turns out, her mother was an alcoholic and died of it. And before she could reconnect with her mother. And she felt, when she had to ask me to leave, she felt like she was pushing her mother away again. And it really hurt her deeply. And it wounded her to push me away like that. It felt the same. So she was very hurt by my behavior. So every year on my anniversary, I email her, got another one. It's been 22 years now. She's thrilled. It can happen. And it's for her and for me. It's kind of this weird thing I do each year. But that was a really neat amend. She did not hurt me, but I had hurt her. So be clear about how these influences have affected your adult life. That's what the 4-step and 5th-step is for. 6th and 7th gives you clarity. 8th-step, you write down the people that you're going to make amends to, and then you decide, is this going to be an apology, an amend, or both? Because these are two separate things. An apology is, I'm sorry I'm late every day. I must have caused you some difficulties with your boss, explaining why I was allowed to be late every day and nobody else was. I apologize. That was wrong of me. And I'm sorry I put you in that position. Now, my amend is, I got to get my butt to work every day on time. That's the living amend. That's when I change my behavior. An apology is great. I said I'm sorry about 20,000 times in my childhood, trying to get that temperature back down in the room, trying to smooth things down, trying to settle things, or just I'd fling it out there and see if it worked. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I wasn't sorry. I was just trying to change the situation, trying to settle everything down. Now, when I say I'm sorry, it's true. You can bank it. I'm absolutely true, because I know what I did. My sponsor helped me figure out what exactly I did to other people. I know what they did to me. Well, what did I do to them? This is great stuff. But if you want to be really free, got to do the whole thing, not pieces. Maybe there's a list of things. If you want to find that, my sponsor gave me a ton of homework. Oh my God. And one of the things that she had me do is, when you are emotionally upset, which one of these things do you do and why? When you are physically upset, which one of these things do you do and why? And I had to go down each one of these with each category, and she had me pick apart everything. And that's why I have what I have. To be honest and thorough, we must ask ourselves if we've treated God, ourselves, and others in these ways. Have we abused? This is a good, there's a bunch of questions right here that'll really help you with your 4-step. Okay. Have we abused, abandoned, become enmeshed with, or neglected God, ourselves, and others emotionally, physically, sexually, spiritually, or intellectually? Those are your categories, multiple choice. What did you do? I know what was done to me. Now I need to find out what I did. In order to do this, sometimes you have to separate the person from the action. I actually was able to make an amend to my perpetrator, my sexual abuser from when I was a child. He was dead at the time. Bless the good Lord for that one. But it took me 3.5 years to make that amend, and I had to separate what he did to me like it never even happened, and then take a look at what was left in order for me to make amend to him. And it was meaningful and it meant a lot and it closed it off. It's easy to rationalize or justify some of our codependent behaviors, but doing this only serves to maintain and continue these behaviors. So you have a choice. You can continue behaving the way you're continuing right now in perpetuity, or you can get well. You can get healthy. You can do what this book tells you to do, and then you can be happy, joyous, and free, and you get your pony. It really is. It's that easy. Don't do what I did. Do what I'm doing now. I think that's what my biggest lesson is. Don't do what I did. I made all the mistakes you can possibly make, and probably a couple of extra. So don't do what I did. Just do what I tell you.